Good evening and welcome to the Board of Zoning Appeals for Monday, July 7th, 2025. The first item on our agenda is the determination of a quorum, but we do need to appoint a temporary secretary in the absence of Susan Horner. If we could have Terry Tucker act as our secretary this evening.
Will do.
And take the role for the determination of a quorum.
Just take a quick vote on that.
Oh, okay. Make a motion to appoint Terry Tucker as our temporary secretary this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay. Attendees, Ms. Andre,
Here.
Crowley, absent. Tucker, present. Cooper, absent. Powell,
Here.
Susan Horner, absent. Laura Narduzzi.
Here. Okay.
Have a quorum.
Thank you. At the beginning of each meeting, we do allow time for public participation. The only person in attendance this evening is our applicant, so we'll skip right over to the minutes from our last two meetings, June 2nd and June 16th. Corrections were sent to staff previously, so if we could have a motion regarding the corrected minutes, please.
Motion to accept the corrected minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The corrected minutes of June 2nd and June 16th, 2025 have been approved. We have no items under old business, and as I stated, we have one new case this evening. It's BZ 25-010. Our applicant is Jared Harris. The location of the variance request is 457 State Street in an R2 residential district. Can we have a staff report, please?
Sure. In this case, the applicant is seeking variances to the accessory structure requirements. And the reason for that is he'd like to reconstruct a barn on his property. The dimensions would be 40 feet by 72 feet with an overall height of 24 feet. So it doesn't comply with the zoning restrictions for floor area or building height. I would point out that the proposed structure, it's a barn that would be used for agricultural purposes. So what we have here, and in your staff report, there's a string of aerial photographs, but at one point in the time, I'm going to just go through the background information in the staff report because I think that'll spell everything out. But the applicant's property consists of 7 permanent parcels totaling 38.5 acres in total. One of the lots contains his home. That is the one here at, zoom in here at 457 State Street. There's a home, garage, also another building that's used in agricultural purposes. But he owns quite a bit of the properties that are to the south and east of the site. And if I zoom in here one more time, maybe you can, we can see this. This is where the 2 barns used to be located. They've been there since at least the year 2000 or 1999. Because one of the first photos in there is from an aerial from 2020, which shows that these barns existed. These barns were destroyed by a fire, I believe, in roughly 2015, 2016, I believe, and there's been nothing there ever since. So the applicant is seeking a variance to construct a new barn to replace both of these. And it looks like the floor area of the proposed barn would be about 2,880 square feet. So it's a little more than half of the 5,200 square feet of the barns that were destroyed. The only difference is that the new barn would be located, if you can see my arrow, about in this area. And I think that's one of the pages in the staff report. Let's see if I can pull that up. But yeah, I just went through a string of aerials through the years. The last one, 2014, shows the 2 barns. Moving forward into 2023, those barns are gone. And I'll have to turn this a little bit, rotate it, but this shows the property, the one parcel with the house, the existing barn or Quonset hut style structure, and then the location of where the new barn would go. So in addition to the variances to the height and the size, they'd probably also need one because it looks like the barn's going to be pretty close to the property line. But again, the applicant owns all of these properties around it. I would just point out that the properties have been in agricultural use for some time now, and in fact, this past March, City Council did approve the applicant's latest application to have his lands placed into a agricultural district. And that agricultural district is really something set up by State of Ohio in ORC 929. And when property gets placed in a agricultural district, it's valid for 5 years. It exempts the properties from any assessments for sanitary, sewer, water, electric, other public infrastructure. And the reason being is that it's assumed that the property will be used for farming or agricultural production for that period of time. So that's why there's really no intent to make or assess them for improvements that really won't benefit how the property is currently being used. The unfortunate thing is that there's no such agricultural exemptions in the zoning code. Typically, municipal codes are based on assumptions that once land comes into the city, it's being brought in so that it can be developed for some type of residential, commercial, or industrial use. So any new structures need to meet whatever the underlying zoning requires. So that's why the accessory structure is going to be limited to, without the variances, to no more than 50% of the square feet of the house itself. So as you can see, I think the situation is a little bit unusual. And again, pointing out that residential use districts, they're designed around what a typical residential property would be in the city, okay, which is around 10,500 square feet, a little less than a quarter of an acre. And so all of the setbacks, the restrictions on the size of accessory structures, etc., are kind of built with that in mind. They're built with that in mind. So obviously, if 10,800 square feet or 10,500 square feet is the minimum lot size, this property's what?
38.
4 times 38, 100 times larger. So again, I think that's one of the reasons we have the BZA is to look at situations like this where how it's being used is much different than the surrounding properties that are similarly zoned. So again, I have no issues with what's being proposed or the new location. And again, I would just add to the variance that you know, the new barn could be placed on or near the lot line of the parcel with the house on it. So that would put it, let me see here, I'm going to zoom in real quick. Permanent parcel number for the house ends in 014. Property, the owner also owns 008, which is the adjacent property. So again, looking at it as a whole, it's under one ownership. Fairly large.
Fairly.
Okay, so that's really all I have.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I will declare the public hearing open. Do we have any questions? Does the board have any questions of staff before we proceed? Obviously, this has already gone before the other agencies, police and fire. At this time, I'll ask Mr. Harris to please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and give us any additional information that you'd like the board to consider, please.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out here tonight and talking with me about this. There's two versions. There's a short version and a long version. The short version is I lost my buildings many years ago. I need a new one. Between now and then, I've had the luxury of renting buildings from other landowners. Friends of mine have allowed me to use space at their places. And over the course of time, some of the places I've rented the people have relocated, have passed away, or the other use for that particular building has changed. So I'm at a point now where I have to make a change to continue my operation. That's the short version. The long version is when I was a little kid, my dad used to take me to my uncle's farm not far from Wadsworth, and he set me in his lap and let me hang on to the tractor steering wheel. And I was about 5 or 6 years old. And I don't know what it is about agriculture, but once you check into that, you don't never check out. So I've wanted to do this my whole life. I got the opportunity to buy this property in 2014, purchased it. It was a turnkey, ready to go place. All I had to do was get the equipment, stuff it in the barns, and go. A year and a half later, the barns caught on fire in the back, destroyed all my equipment that was stored there. At that time, it was a hard decision because you're dealing with insurance companies and things like that. We had problems with neighbors trespassing and causing issues in those barns that existed years ago. And at that point, I was like, do I relocate? Do I spend the money on a new building now? Or what do I want to do? About a year and a half passed, and at that time it wasn't a big rush because I was renting buildings in 2 different locations, and then something came up where there was another 2 acres available to add to this location, and my parents, I had a discussion with them, and they decided to relocate there. So now we have kind of almost a family compound there, really. My parents are on one end, I'm on the other. They can keep an eye on things. It's kind of interesting too, because where they moved to, the property they purchased, that neighbor was difficult to deal with as well. And when that neighbor's daughter was settling his estate, she came to me and said, would you like to purchase the back half of this property? I said, how about the whole thing? Because I don't, you know what I mean? I'm dealing with enough people right now. So that's what we did. Had a discussion with my parents. We made the deal. That was 2019. So at that point, it was like, okay, we're going to be here for a little bit. Time to put up a building. Well, started looking into pricing for buildings late 2019 and into 2020. Well, everybody knows what happened in April 2020. Things got crazy. Prices went up. I could have built a building back then for about $7.50 a square foot for a pole building, and upper and lower portions of that depending on the style of building. Well, once COVID hit, prices were crazy. You couldn't get anybody to call you back for a price on a building. Went through that for a while, and again, I was still renting some buildings, but then in 2021, I believe, a person that I rented a farm off of that I stored a lot of equipment at his place, he passed away. So that put me outdoors a little bit. And then I rented a building west of town. That lady decided to sell her property and buy a condo. That really put me outdoors. So here we are, 2022, 2023. It's hard to function without a building. And prices have started to come down a little bit on getting things done. You can actually get a contractor to call you back. And here's where we are, 2025, trying to put up a building. And that's the purpose of me visiting you guys tonight. Any questions?
Yeah. Do we have any questions for Jared? No.
I'm just going to clarify. Do you own the lot 008, the west of your existing home?
You mean east of the home?
Am I looking, yeah, I'm sorry, east.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep, that's owned by them, and
okay,
and
so-
obviously 007, which is just south of there, you can still see, and I vaguely remember this when he was given approval to kind of extend Dalton Drive, you know, to put a turnaround. I don't know if it was you or your previous owner, but that's what this is there for, because this was
Yeah.
used to access those barns, which, you know, again, subsequently, you know, burned a few years after this. I think this is the photo from like 2015, 2016, but somewhere between like 2010 and 2012, this went into provide access.
So what would be the probability? It doesn't look like very much, but like, if that development, would there be any chance of houses being, you know, directly to the east of that proposed barn?
Only if he sells.
I was going to say no, because he
Yeah.
owns it.
Yeah.
Well, true, today, I mean, tomorrow, if it were to be sold, does it look like that development could even, based on the existing roads, it looks like that area is still going to be clear of,
There's a ravine and,
Yeah, probably not. I mean, the only way to develop, someone would have to, Mr. Harris would have to sell some property.
yeah.
And then two, a developer would have to come in and probably run Dalton Drive further to the east. Would probably be required to put a stub street in for the future. But again, as the owner of the property, it would appear that at least in the foreseeable future, the chances of that are pretty remote. So since he wants to make the investment and continue farming the land.
Let me add something to that, what he's talking about. So that was one of the thoughts that went through my mind after the initial mishap with the fire. And, but me being from Wadsworth, graduated in 1999, and at that time I was working for the city. I kind of wanted to remain in the area. And then once my parents bought the other property, 8 houses up, you know, I have a lot of nieces and nephews. And for me, it made more sense to keep everything the way it is as far as our location. And that creates a unique opportunity for my nieces and nephews to grow up in an environment where, you know, they get to see a calf being born, they get to ride on a tractor, they get to feel the summer heat when you're putting hay in a barn, things like that. I think that's important for children, and a lot of kids that have gone through the Wadsworth school system have actually worked for me. One of your councilman's son, actually, he worked for me for several years. And, you know, I mean, there's things I don't like about the location. Obviously, if I was in a township or county setting, we wouldn't have to have this discussion. So this makes things a little more difficult, but where it's at right now, it's kind of centrally located to other properties that I farm. I farm north of town, I farm east of town, south of town. So everything's within 6.5, 7 miles of where I'm located at this time. But in the future, it's not out of the question, you know, if the right developer comes along, you know, once time goes on, and, you know, my parents are in their 70s, you know, so I want them to be able to enjoy, you know, their twilight years and watching their grandkids grow up. And, you know, we have paths mowed around the pasture, and it's nothing to have a family dinner and then load all the kids on a four-wheeler and go for a little ride, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how we do things, and would like to continue that. And the structure that I'm trying to put together here it's not necessarily a 100% permanent. The dealer that I'm working with is from Mount Hope, Ohio. They're a company that's owned by Amishmen, and they have put these up and then relocated them in, you know, after the initial assembly. So that was one thing that was considered, can we move this thing? Can we do something else with it? So we looked at several different avenues, but this makes the most sense, this type of structure. It's very similar to, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the salt dome down at the sewage plant. It's pretty much
Really?
along the same lines as that. Or actually, you can see the hoop structure that Wadsworth Township constructed on Seville Road. You can actually stand where I'm wanting to put my structure and see theirs. So it's very similar.
Good. Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Ideally, maybe your nephews and nieces might, come along behind you and keep farming the land.
I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up. My great uncle got me into this.
Sure. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Any concluding comments or any other
No, I don't think
remarks?
so.
Okay.
I think we all understand.
We all understand. I think that's a good statement. That's right. Okay. If we could have a motion to close the public hearing, please.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We are. So I guess if there isn't any further discussion amongst the board members or any comments or questions or anything, okay. I will take a motion regarding case BZ 25-010, please.
Is this two variances, one for the square footage and one for the 24-foot height?
Well, actually, 3. I think if you look at the request.
And read it.
And maybe kind of grant it that way, because that incorporates all 3 variances. We've got the square footage, the height, and the fact that it would be on a property line with no setback. So if you kind of
Read it, just,
verbiage,
yeah, make a motion.
we can incorporate everything in one
Yeah,
one
to
motion.
grant the request just as it's written there. That should cover all 3 then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion for BZ 25-010, located at 457 State Street, to grant variances to the zoning regulations for accessory structure in order to reconstruct a barn with dimensions of 40 by 72 with an overall height of 24 feet, which does not comply with the zoning restrictions for floor area or height. The barn will be used for agricultural purposes.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you. We have a second. So if we could take a roll call vote, Secretary?
All right.
So the motion is made by John and Amanda seconded it.
I've got it.
Okay.
Let's see. Matt?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes,
Amanda?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
motion passes unanimously.
Unanimous.
Congratulations. Okay. Get busy. What's that? Get busy. I'm sure you have. Is there anything further to be brought before the board?
No, that should do it, and our next meeting would have been on the 21st of July. Don't think we received anything. I'll confirm that, but I believe last Thursday, the 3rd, was the deadline. So hopefully that'll be it until August, perhaps.
All right, if there's nothing further, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Good night.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.